Oh, here it is. Here it is. If you have a mental disorder or illness, should you be allowed to carry guns? And an overwhelming majority of the people said no. Yeah, and here's the thing. Spike Cohen, he gets it, man. The real question is, do you trust the government to decide if you are mentally or physically well enough to be able to own a firearm?
No, never.
Of course
Says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Mental illness or not shall not be infringed. It doesn't. The shortest amendment is supposed to alleviate any misinterpretation possible.
You got to remember what essentially that question is asking is: if you have a mental illness, do you have rights?
Should you not be able? Does free speech not matter to you if you're mentally ill?
Can you have free speech if you're mentally ill?
I mean, don't know, Dave.
Surely a mentally ill person could do dangerous things with free speech, Ryan.
Like yell fire in a movie theater?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know where Tim Pool was coming from on that. I don't know what his response to that is. I'm sure he doesn't know what his response to that is.
This piggybacks into red flag laws, I'd imagine.
And I assume you as well, but I have a tremendous problem with red flag laws because it's taking away people's rights before due process. And I understand them. I get it. We're trying to do whatever we can to put aside gun violence, but at the end of the day, do your rights matter to you or not? I'm not even saying red flag laws don't work. They might work perfectly fine. I don't know. They might have red flag laws might have stopped X amount of shootings. I'm not even denying it. But how important are your rights? How important is freedom to you? There's a lot of great quotes from our founding fathers about security and freedom and what's more important. There's a lot of nations you can go to if you want to feel warm and fuzzy and secure. Sure, you could probably feel real good in Canada, sleep real nice at night, knowing that I don't have any freedoms, but God damn it, I know I'm not going to get shot. I might get stabbed. I can't defend myself if somebody's raping my wife.
Or spend money if I support the wrong cause.
Yeah, they might cancel my bank accounts if I'm protesting vaccinations. Sure, they might take money out of my GoFundMe account or have the account taken down altogether. Don't worry, Ryan. Mentally ill people aren't running around with guns over there. Don't you worry.
I don't think true crazy people are focused on getting a gun. I actually think like a lot of these people that claim to be mentally ill when they do these violent acts are actually just using it as a scapegoat, if anything. And it's labeled mentally ill is labeled too easily. We're probably all on a spectrum of some kind of ADHD, mental illness, and trauma and attack. There's like a lot to humans. We're probably all on the scale somewhere, a little mentally ill.
Well, it depends. And again, what are you finding is mentally ill? I mean, is someone who's autistic on the spectrum? Are they mentally ill?
Well, David,
if that's the case, do you know how easy it is to be on the spectrum?
That's the whole thing. But aren't we all a spectrum? If there's people with extreme cases of ADHD or autism or all these things, wouldn't there be like people with like almost no symptoms of autism or none, like us? Like we're all on the spectrum of something.
Well, the fact is, it's not that black and white. So again, it does boil down to that: who's making the decision? I'm sure it's not a third party guy.
Oh, publisher or platform, I'm sure would have a lot of sway.
And that's a good point, Ryan. Even if it is an independent guy, so what? Who's to say the government doesn't come in and collude with them, and, like they did with social media platforms?
The golden rule, David. Who has the gold makes all the rules.
That question's just absurd.
Yeah, and like you said, Dave, it's not about whether they work or not, but it is interesting of Tim Pool to ask this thing because I'm assuming he's going to try to get down to the bottom of it or have that feel-good conversation. And
I don't know, and maybe we should do more research and see what the context of the question was. I don't know. I mean, without knowing the context, it came right out of the blue. I don't know what side of that he sits on. Like I said, in most cases with Tim Pool, he doesn't know what side of something he sits on either.
But Yeah, to really round it out, it's like it goes deeper than just like mental ill and gun control. We're talking allowing them to broad brush your civil liberties like you wouldn't believe.
Right.
Can you imagine if they used the same authority they did with masks and vaccines against you for your civil liberties?
Well,
I
Ryan,
mean,
what do you think is stopping them?
Second Amendment.
And even that's only slowing them down so
Look,
much.
if you're telling me that Andrew Tate makes women fall in love with him and that is coercion, then what is something sharing a post on the internet? That's something that might be skirting the line of social acceptance when it comes to like I don't know a firearm or some kind of certain lifestyles that people demonize. You know, Yeah, and it's also crazy because the trannies want to get propped up, but if we want to try to prop up the firearm, which is an equal right, aren't like, oh, this transgender rights are civil rights. Well, here's gun rights, which is a civil right, and it's just
Well,
interesting to see how they take them on each other's. They're supposed to be both the same thing. They're both civil liberties. This is what the whole argument is about: is that they want to be recognized as equal and all these things, but you people don't even understand what the right that you're trying to equal even means historically or socially or culturally or like actually.
yeah, and the thing that's interesting is I've been called out certainly in online spaces, for being against trans rights or whatever, and it's very simple. I'm for everybody's rights. Um, it's a very simple philosophy. It's kind of very libertarian in some senses, where it's the very simple. Listen, you do whatever you want to do as long as you're not hurting somebody else. So that's when the transgendering kids and stuff, and we'll have a story about that probably tomorrow's episode. That's where that stuff gets like, all right, I'm out on that. I'm out. I don't care what you do in your own private time, but I'm out on this. I'm out on you forcing genders upon your kid because they wanted to play with a Barbie instead of a Tonka truck. And there was another question that was asked on Facebook, and in this particular instance, I was siding with the trannies. I don't know if you're supposed to say that, but Kentucky, I think it is banning drag shows in public places. To which I simply responded, "Isn't that a violation of the First Amendment?"
Should we ban pro-America things or like a Christian celebration
Right.
or a St. Patrick's Day celebration?
Right. That's freedom of expression. I get it. I don't necessarily want people sexualizing children, and certainly there's already laws on the books. I would imagine in Kentucky, but everywhere, where you can't do certain obvious things in public regardless. So, just a man dressing up like a woman, I don't know. Can you really ban that?
Well, maybe that's how Joe Dirt gets made. That guy goes home, like Silence of the Lamb stuff. Well, I'm serious. Like that stuff doesn't have, those creeps don't hang out like in those places for no reason. They're shuttered inside. I don't want to get in this whole spiral thing, but Dave, it's a valid point because it's really just about like people don't understand what the hell a civil liberty even means. But I'm out here thinking that all these journalists that have all this inside information that don't tell me any of it know exactly how to sway people and how to censor information to get the end result on all of these rights that they're. How many flags is there for transgender rights?
Well, they condensed it all into one, didn't they?
I thought the American flag was supposed to do that, David. Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73. Catch us Monday through Friday, maybe even the weekend, 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be there. David be there. Hope to see you. Thank you. As always, David, for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Thanks.
Yeah. I miss my clothes.